Oops.
When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath a poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to whom we're not quite sure. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair.
Good evening, everybody. Here I am in Richard Wollstencroft's place. We've got our bees.
Castle Wollstencroft, yes.
And
Sponsored by the Blue Bee.
I think Leon is still on, which is why we can't get on. He should have finished by now, but he's still going, or maybe he's just finished.
You just won't shut up, mate. What can you do?
No, he's not live. So I'm just going to see if we can get back on
Yeah.
Michael Gray Griffiths. Bear with us for a sec.
Just for a sec. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
And
So we've abducted Michael Gray Griffiths for the evening, and we're not going to release him until the ransom is paid. How much is the ransom, mate? You know, that's right.
It's pretty cheap.
So pretty cheap.
It's pretty cheap.
Where you put the money will be coming along the bottom of the screen
So
later.
just seeing what's coming on.
Yeah, very good.
So
Here we are.
now,
Welcome to my house, mate.
a lot of you don't know, but
You're banging the table here.
I was in hospital, as everyone knows, but
Yeah.
so were you.
Yes, they're trying to kill us, mate. You know,
And you almost died.
just like you, mate. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, so they're trying to kill us. It's official. We can announce it here. There is a plot to kill Michael Gray Griffiths and myself. Or it could be a result of our crazy lifestyles. And that's one thing, it's not the vax. Well, it's certainly not the vax. What's happened with us this year, has it? You know,
No,
unless somehow they snuck it in the middle of the night.
No, it wasn't the vax. No, it
Wasn't
wasn't
the
the vax.
No, I went to Bali, ladies and germs, and I came back, and a week later, it wasn't actually this arm, it was this arm. I found 2 small lumps on my arm, and I thought, oh, I got cancer, that's it, bye, I'm dead. But I went to my doctor. He said, no, it's fine. These are just cysts. And he said, here's his antibiotics, and you take these antibiotics, it'll go away. So I took the antibiotics, and one of the cysts sort of came up like a pimple. So I squeezed it, it burst. And then after that, for some reason, this whole, giant cyst grew under my arm, and, I had to go to hospital and get it operated on. Luckily, I got into hospital, I showed the doctor when it was really big. And he said, well, you got to go to the Austin straight away. And they operated the following day, and I was all right. I just had to change this wound. But, if I'd left it alone, for another 48 hours, I might have gone into toxic shock. So, it's something that appeared relatively benign.
So was it a bug or was it an insect?
It was like a staph infection, similar to what you had or whatever, but it's something I picked up most likely in Bali. When I was in the Austin, I was speaking to a nurse, and she said, I've seen 3 people who come back from Bali who've had, and he said, you're lucky where you've had it, because he said people have had it in their groin, people have had it in their ass crack, and he said, believe me, that's a lot worse. And so where I had it is just under my arm. I'm grateful. So anyway, that's just been my little medical scare of the past 6 weeks. I'm repairing well, and looks like I'll live to annoy everybody a little bit longer and to upset all the various people I like to upset.
Tell them what a contrarian is.
A contrarian is somebody who likes to be of the opposite opinion.
Okay, well, Robin.
And, there's a funny joke going around at the moment. Just the one thing about sort of Gen X or whatever is that we're people who, are into critical thinking. You know what I mean? We like to listen to 2 sides of the same argument and then make our own decision, like the whole Israel-Palestine thing. I listen to both sides of the argument, and then, I think I've listened to the Israeli side, I've listened to Palestine, and you realise they're both cunts. You know what I mean? And they're both horrible.
We're still at 8 o'clock, but not 9 o'clock.
Oh, no, so no C word. No C word. But anyway, so you know what I mean? Like, so when you use critical thinking, and you don't let people, and you make up your own mind about things. And someone who's a contrarian is somebody who often takes the opposite opinion, but there's not necessarily anything wrong with that if you know anything about philosophy, because it's like being dialectical. I mean, how things like science, that's one of the things with trust the science, that was clearly rubbish. Because, the reason science has been able to progress to the point it has at the moment is because somebody said, hang on a minute, the Earth is not flat. Now, so people do think it's flat again now.
Sorry, Dave.
Sorry, all of you Earth flatters. Anyway, people have questioned things all along, and people have been burnt at the stake for it back in the Renaissance, before the Renaissance, and all that type. So, it's really just thinking for yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to be correct. You know what I mean? It's just having an independent mode of thinking, and being contrarian is to take a mainstream opinion. And for example, most people think that the Allies were the good guys of World War II. A contrarian would say no, they weren't. And it doesn't necessarily mean that he might believe that, but you might say no. But then dialectically, you examine the situation, and you look at why Germany might have fought World War II. All this kind of stuff.
Why don't you talk about Trump then, from a contrarian's point of view? Because a lot of people are disappointed. Some people think he's still doing great. What's your appraisal? We're not going to touch the table because it's shaking.
It's shaky table.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on?
Well, I'm a Trump man. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
But I've been a little disappointed in Donald.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the fact that the Epstein files has not been released. I mean, it was something he did promise to do.
He figured out he was in it.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein was about blackmailing famous people.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that he attempted to blackmail Donald Trump. My attitude would be is if he had succeeded, Donald Trump never would have ended up president. But I'd say he's probably in the files in some way. And, with the whole Prince Andrew thing, how he operated, it wasn't like, he said to famous people who might instantly go, hang on, a 15-year-old girl, they would instantly balk at that. He said, come and hang out at my house. And there's all these models there. And most of them are 20-year-olds. You know what I mean? And that's what he would do. He would hang out with legitimate, who were legal to have sex with. And then he would slip in the 15-year-old when you were drunk or high or God knows what. And that's why it was a honeypot, right? And it maybe somebody like Prince Andrew liked that, or maybe he was fooled. I'd say he probably did like it, and that's why he went along to it. But I think a lot of people who were part of the Epstein thing were fooled and maybe didn't know exactly what was going on. Maybe when they got to the island, they realised what was going on. And then to some extent, it's too late because you're there.
But then a lot of people went back and back and back.
Well, obviously, someone like Bill Clinton clearly enjoyed it. There's no record of Donald Trump going to the island, I think it's disappointing. I think what's going on with Donald Trump is that if it's not necessarily him in the files, though I imagine he's in them somewhere, it's that all his mates are, all the friends in the Republican Party are. And, it's interesting that someone from the Department of Justice reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's been moved to a nicer prison. Now, I imagine what he can say to her is, listen, leak on my political enemies, and I'll give you a pardon when I leave the presidency. So in other words, she's only got 3 more years in jail.
Yeah.
If you, and I imagine that's what he said to her, right?
Yeah.
And then, but anybody who is a Republican or me, say nice things, right?
Yeah.
That would be a fair deal. And I imagine Ghislaine Maxwell ain't stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's that. For what she'd done, she would probably expect to spend the rest of her life in jail
or be killed.
It's
amazing.
But she's part of the. She's part. She was very high up in the elite.
Why do you think they haven't killed her and they killed Epstein?
Did they kill Epstein?
I don't know. What
do we really know? No, I think he's in Israel, mate, sitting on a kibbutz.
Okay.
Maybe some.
Okay. Well, they claimed that he killed himself.
Yeah, but if you've seen the picture, the nose is different. The corpse that was brought out of the thing, different. He has a different nose. He had a particularly shaped nose. If you go look it up. But look, I don't know. That. I mean, I would say there's probably a strong chance he's dead, but it's possible he's alive. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about a woman I know, and I probably shouldn't even discuss this, but her name is Tracy Twynham, and she was an investigator into the whole Epstein thing, and she wrote a book with a friend of mine called Boyd Rice called Dagobert's Revenge, which is sort of about medieval, occult and, René Le Chateau, the kind of thing that like the Da Vinci Code is on, you know what I mean? Holy Blood, Holy Grail, about the secret bloodline of Christ, all this stuff. So anyway, if you know a little bit about that, you might know who this woman is. But she got into the whole Pizzagate thing and investigating Epstein and all this stuff. And around the time Isaac Cappy was around, right? And she sort of knew Cappy and they were exchanging emails. And I remember she wrote to me and said, look, I've discovered these things, She's, first of all, that Jeffrey Epstein's alive and he's back in operation. And I was like, hang on a minute. What are you fucking talking about?
Back in operation?
Yeah. And I said, I don't want to know about this. I don't want to know about this. You know what I mean? And I said, by the way, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do what I would call originary research because this will get you killed. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it's on Alex Jones, I think that's fine. If Alex Jones has talked about it, then we can all talk about it without being killed. Anyway, this woman started, just saying things I'd never heard of from anywhere. And it seemed like she'd done a deep dive and all this stuff. And I just kind of warned her. I said, this is kind of scary. Be careful. And that was the last I heard from her. And then Isaac Cappy died. And then about 6 weeks later, I heard that she'd committed suicide. And she was not that kind of person. And if you look at it, there's information about it. So it seemed like she was onto something. And, look, it is scary. You don't get near this kind of thing. So
she actually took her life, like...
Oh, she didn't. I would say 100% she didn't take her life.
Sorry, wow.
But she's dead. So, look, these are, obviously she may have been onto something, And obviously, Isaac Cappy
we were just watching. Richard is a crazy film buff and book buff, as you can see.
Yes.
And downstairs, his books it's amazing. He's got like lots of Mills and Boon. Every Mills and Boon that's ever been out.
No Mills and Boon.
First edition Mills and Boon. He's really into, especially the one with that
Hidden World.
Guy. What's the guy with the hair?
Hidden World?
What's the guy with the hair? The what's that
Mills
guy? What's the Mills and Boon cover guy? He got hit in the face by a duck.
No idea.
Someone will turn up.
Oh.
Anyway, but we were watching Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet by David Lynch,
is from what I see, Blue Velvet is about on the top. Here's everything, white picket fence, everything's fine, but just underneath.
Ooh, a lot of dark stuff.
And this is what we're dealing with here.
It is, yeah. So I think that's a great metaphor for a lot of what's going on in society. Some of this stuff is not necessarily that bad.
That's right, Tash, actually.
But a lot of it is it's just how the world sort of secretly operates, at a form of corruption. I mean, for example, I remember I used to run nightclubs in the 1990s. I mean, I always used to say, how's the drug scene controlled? I said, the number one, way that the drug scene is controlled is the police. They are
with the table.
Sorry, they are the main drug dealers. You know what I mean? Because
we're on an old card table.
The police obviously get all the drugs when they do the raids, and then they burn a little bit of it.
Out the back
no,
they don't.
No, they don't.
They're very good.
Obviously not Australia.
Good. Not Victoria.
I'm talking about police in countries like America, mate. That obviously it would never happen here. So there you go.
That's it.
Fabio, there
Got
he
a
is.
huge Fabio collection.
Yeah,
Now
that's
there's next thing, the big march coming on. Everyone's
August,
talking about
August
it.
31, yeah.
We just watched that thing from Joel.
Joel Jamal, yes.
Because I was wondering who was behind it, because it's very well organized in every state.
Well, it's spontaneous.
It's so spontaneous.
Uprising of the people. Spontaneous
Yeah.
uprising of the people. That's what I believe it is. That's what I believe it is.
I'm going to be lucky because I think I'm going to be on the road to Perth, so I'm out of it.
But you could still be prisoner here in the basement.
I'll do my own march.
Can you break out? Can you break out of the shackle I've got on your leg?
I'll do my own march on the Nullarbor.
Yeah.
Where is everybody? Anyway, there's but apparently it started, Joel was saying, with a TikTok post from a young 18-year-old guy in South Australia, and then it's been picked up by another group. Joel reckons it's white supremacists.
Yeah, the National Socialist Network. But look, I mean,
I can't verify
as far as I can tell, there's just a lot of people were, they saw the power of the Palestinian demonstration that had Julian Assange at it, and had Bob Carr and a whole bunch of people on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
But they were burning a lot of flags.
Well, sure, there was, but to what extent is that a false flag itself? I mean, for example, if you're a Zionist, I would smartly send a few people down there to burn a few flags to make it look bad. So, but to what level of a false flag was going on, that was about it. But I do think there probably would be people within a Palestinian demonstration who probably wouldn't like an Australian flag, because you've got some far left people there who consider the Australian flag to be racist or whatever. So, we're living in very interesting times where, there's a very strong kind of left and right kind of thing going on. Anyway, this demonstration on August 31st, I encourage everyone to go along to it. I think that, that group, the Thomas Sowell group or whatever, that might be there. But if it's a patriot group, obviously they'll probably turn up. But I think the size of it will be so overwhelming that they'll only be a drop in the ocean. And hang on a minute, if there's a left-wing demonstration, for example, the one on Sydney Harbour Bridge, were there a group of Stalinists there? Probably. There's probably a few Stalinists there. Were there some Maoists? Who knows? Probably. There are probably some Chinese spies there for sure. But does anyone notice? Does anyone care? No. It's only on the right that people focus on these, right-wing nationalist, white supremacist groups and says, oh, it's like, spoiling the whole pot. I've heard Monica Smith and I've heard Joel Jamal carry on about it. I don't think that's a reason to stay away at all. Just go along to it, support it. And if there are other demonstrations that they're doing great, you can support them as well. But just because this group might turn up, there's no reason not to attend. That group's always been non-violent as far as I know anyway. And, I would say be careful of false flags, because, there'll probably be one if it's going to be as many people as turned out for the Sydney Harbour.
Well, the interesting thing that I've heard is that there's people going who've never been to a march before. Yeah. They're actually, they're sort of regretting that they never went to the anti-lockdown marches and the marches then, and now they're thinking, no, we're going, because there's so many things wrong. But
I heard from 3 people today myself, because as you well know, I don't go to marches because I don't particularly like them. I associate marches with a bunch of left-wing bullshit. But every now and then I do think it's important. Obviously, I supported a lot of the marches Michael went to, and obviously I support Epic. And I think this is another opportunity for a mass, just a statement. And there'll be all different kinds of groups. There'll be, Jordan Peterson, libertarians, and, there'll be freedom movement, anti-vaxxers. There'll be people who care about the Constitution. There'll be all kinds of people there. And it's a broad church. It's a broad church. And as we know, this freedom movement contains people from the left and the right.
I don't think it will be the freedom movement, though. I think it'd be Australians. I just want to say, about it's a lot of it is aimed at anti-immigration.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is these immigrants, they didn't cause the problems we had. What they do, though,
they do by their presence.
But they didn't cause it. We're fucked up because
by letting them in.
We're fucked up economically because of our politicians.
Well, sure, our politicians are corrupt.
But they've been doing that. But they've been doing that for years.
Well,
we're broke. I mean, we owe $1 trillion, not because of some.
You can get around that.
Indian.
If you read your history, you can get around that. What you do is you nationalize the currency.
But we haven't. But still, here now we are screwed up because of our politicians, and they're trying to hide the fact, or they're trying to make the country look like it's doing well by bringing in all these migrants. And the migrants aren't helping the problem; they're just exasperating.
Well, the problem is that I think what I would call a limited migration. That if you grew up here in the 70s and 80s, and even to some extent in the 90s, It was always a limited migration numbers coming into.
I'm a migrant.
Well, there you go. We're from England. That's not really a migrant, mate. They founded this country.
Wales.
Yeah, but they founded the English founded this country.
But
the English,
but still,
the Scottish, the Wales, and Irish. Okay,
but
they're the original. They're the Anglo-Saxon
I agree.
founders of our country. So
you're not even though we still
you're a colonizer.
Yeah, but they're still coming in. But the trouble is, we don't have the housing. We have our own people are living under bridges.
Yeah.
Our own people are going hungry. They're struggling to get meaningful jobs. They're only getting little part-time jobs if they get anything. And so we want this fixed first, and we want
that's the sign of a good economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when my parents were in their 20s in the 1960s, they bought their first house for like 20 grand, and I drove past the house I grew up in recently. It's now worth about 1.5 million. You know, so as we all know, the boomers all bought their houses for essentially a month's wages, or maybe a year's wages. You know, and now today's generation, you know, can your kids buy a house?
That's right, Gail. I'm with you. Gail's comment here. We're all immigrants. It's about the amount of people coming into the country in a small amount of time.
No, I don't think we are all immigrants.
Exactly right.
A certain group of people founded this country.
Careful with the table.
Okay, a certain group of people founded this country, and those people were Anglo-Saxon, and then Italians and Greeks joined us, and also some Chinese, and they are, you know, I guess the founders of this country, the colonizers of this country. Oh, wow. And then last 25 years, we've gone into what's called hyper mass migration.
50,000 K for each Indian to come here.
There you go.
This is naturally going to breed discontent, especially when people are struggling here, and the government goes, oh, you know, it's basically setting up a tinderbox. So naturally,
what's so great about India?
Marches to move.
If you go to India, India's a shithole where people shit in the street. You know what I mean? You want to get like a staph infection, go there. Let me tell you. You know, a lot of these third world countries where these people come from are terrible. I mean, you know, if they want to send people here from Palestine, I mean, that would be a disaster for this country. People from the Middle East are a disaster. Not all of them, you know, but a lot of them are a disaster for this country.
I personally, you know, that's Richard. So
that's my thoughts, indeed.
Yeah.
You know. This country is slowly disappearing, you know, and that's a problem, you know. And this country is the best country on earth. At least it was until the end of the 90s. And we've just seen, and you know, what's going on? This flood of mass migration we're seeing in the UK, we're seeing in France, we're seeing in Italy, we're seeing in Spain, we're seeing everywhere because it's a deliberate plan. It's called the Kalagi Plan, which is of course a conspiracy theory. If you look it up, you'll go, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. But of course, as we all know, conspiracy theories are just the truth that people haven't fully accepted.
Well, I tell you, from another point of view, Kelly was talking to a taxi driver, an Indian taxi driver.
Yep.
And he said his Indian friends were all going back to India.
Well, a lot of them are leaving already because they can't stand it.
No, because let me finish. Yeah. Because they said there's no point to living in Australia. Because he said you could work all your life till you're 70 and still not have paid off your house.
I know.
So you're not going to actually get ahead. Where if they work the same amount, and so you're just working and working crazy to remain poor. So these migrants are actually going, hey, the poster said, come here, get rich, but actually come here, be a slave. They're leaving.
Yeah.
And
the standard of living is better in India, ladies and gentlemen. We can afford to buy a house. You can't afford to buy a house in Australia. This is something wrong. This is something fundamentally wrong when young people can no longer afford housing. It's a shocking situation, and this is a result, you know, of globalism, and also ties into the whole 15-minute city Klaus Schwab thing. You will own nothing, because they want everyone to live in a kind of feudalistic society where everybody rents. Young people are going to have, you know, like a house like this would house probably 12 people. You would have maybe 3 or 4 here. You'd have 2 in my bedroom. You'd have 2 where you're staying tonight, and you'd have probably 6 downstairs. You know, half of them would be immigrants from foreign countries, all working like slaves. You know what I mean? For the globalist order. You know what I mean? And they're only allowed to stay within the suburb that I live in, which has everything supposedly. And if maybe once a month you're allowed to have a trip.
We're seeing them being built. If you travel in the country, on the outsides of the cities, they're building new suburbs, and the houses are so close. I don't know why they don't make tenement houses like they have in England, because they're so close. And you know, and then I was talking about this before, and then right next to it is a Bunnings. And then there's a supermarket, Coles. So these people don't have to go anywhere.
No.
But it looks like Suicide Road. Because you're thinking, are you really going to be happy there? Where if you open your window, you're going to hit the next door neighbor's fence?
No, of course.
I mean, and we've got all this space around it.
No, it's against the Australian. I mean, you know, we have a tremendous amount of space in this country. I mean, we only have what, 28 million people, 26, 28 million people.
That's right,
like that. And you know, you've been traveling this country, and you crossed the Nullarbor Plain a number of times now. You've been up to far north Queensland. There's so much land, and we could also use desalination plants to turn the deserts into. We could feed the world. Literally, this one country could feed the world. But we've got to certainly, one of the things we've got to drop is this climate change bullshit, because it is bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I mean, if you've seen that Tucker Carlson video, where we mine coal and iron ore, but we're not allowed to process it. We send it off to China, who does process it, so they're burning it anyway.
Yeah.
And then they make renewables, which are ugly and don't work. These stupid fucking things that Donald Trump was carrying on about. They call wind turbines. Yeah. And then you've got your solar panels. Now, I mean, on renewables, I believe at the moment they are deliberately useless, and that there are so that someone is making a fortune. They've got these renewables, say here or whatever, and they're making billions and billions of dollars of building rubbish that isn't going to work. Now, one day I think renewables might work. For example,
the table.
Okay, in 20 years, I'll just do this like I'm Miss Alma. So
we're on a card table. It's very, the one with the.
This is your idea, by the way.
It's your table.
Well, it's shit. My card table is shit, ladies and gentlemen.
It's actually a really good.
That is my fault, not the fault of immigrants.
That's why I used the table. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's all right.
There's climate change. Yeah, I agree. There's the other interesting thing though is just talking about is the what the fuck boys talked about last night is this.
How's Tom Vogel these days?
He's good.
Have you given him a kiss from me?
I love the guy.
Have you given him a kiss from me?
Give him a kiss from me.
All right.
There's is the machete bins.
Yeah, that's good. Isn't
now,
it?
for those who don't know, we had a few machete attacks in Victoria, and so our premier decided she's going to have a machete bin where you can drop your machete in and go, I'm so sorry, I keep cutting people's arms off. Here, I want to be a good Australian now.
Yeah.
And the machete bins are costing, I think it's $13 million.
Yeah, they're like
$13 million.
20 grand per machete.
No, 250. It's some ridiculous
300
price.
Grand, yeah.
I can't remember. It's some ridiculous price. But
it's basically a large Sulo bin, isn't it?
They look really badly done. Craig Kelly posted one. It's really badly welded. I mean, it is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if there's any reason to march, it's basically to march. We're all broke. Are you really? Why don't you go down and ask a homeless person if they can think of anything that $13 million could be better spent on?
Yeah.
Let me see, you know.
And people don't understand the significance of what is machete crime. I mean, people getting attacked with machetes every few days is not something that happens in this country up until recently, and up until mass migration has taken hold. It's a lot of these African gangs that come out of Dandenong that are doing it. And I imagine it's just caught on amongst youth gangs. I imagine in response, some white gangs are also gotten involved in doing it. And do you really think they're going to be handing in their machetes?
Yeah,
no. How it works is this, and I know because I know some people in organised crime. What they're doing is the gangsters are getting these young gangs to do a lot of the hands-on stuff.
Yeah,
they're doing the dealing, because if they get caught, they're under the age of 18 and they get a slap on the wrist, right? So what the organised crime, and the police have said this too, they're using young African gangs and they're using other gangs of varying ethnicities, some local, some Lebo, whatever, and these Dandenong gangs, and they're the ones they're using, and they're dragging young kids in, they're getting them on drugs like way too young, getting them on drugs like meth or whatever, and it's just a recipe for disaster.
And one of the other things with that, though, is not that the organised crime is using them, is that our country is not giving our youth any hope.
No, that's right. Because they can't. I mean,
you can't afford a house.
Yeah.
Climate change, you're all going to die.
Exactly.
Here, take the jab.
I'll tell you what, a successful teenage drug dealer might be able to afford a house. You know what I mean? That's about the only way a young person is ever going to afford a house.
So the guy becomes a drug dealer, and his girlfriend gets on OnlyFans. You can get a house.
Yeah, that's what you got to become.
You can get on the block.
This is the level of sickness that our society has descended to, and we have our politicians, Albo or whatever. There's these fantastic videos put out by Magoo, who sends on Albo. I mean, really, the Andrew Allen's government and the Albo government, I think the two worst governments I've ever seen while I've been alive. And they're just, I mean, sometimes, they're so inept. It's almost like
if the machete bin was made him think.
There you go. Probably was. And I mean, he's doing that. I mean, and then they have Jacinda Allen there, like saying,
"That's right,
this is your chance." It just doesn't make sense, does it? No one's going to put them in. And it's like, don't ban the weapon. You know what I mean? I mean, what if someone starts using hammers on people? We're going to ban hammers? You know what I mean?
Well, they did. The next
that's right.
A cop got attacked by
someone with a hammer. Spanner. I know.
So we're going to ban spanners.
I know.
And then someone drove a 4-wheel drive through that shopping centre.
You just, I mean,
Northland Shopping
Centre. You have
to
jail, these teenage offenders like they're adults, because if an adult is running around a mall with a machete, they're going to get 5 years in jail, right? But these teenagers need to be put into jail, or you handle it, like the Singapore situation. Singapore has no juvenile delinquency. You can look into how they do that, because they cane the shit out of people who fucking muck around over there. One bit of graffiti and you get caned like 50 times or something by somebody who's a martial arts expert. And, they never re-offend, funnily enough.
Well,
so that'll never happen here, though, because the Labor government and their bleeding heart is, never. Because Singapore is a fascist country. It's run by a right-wing military dictatorship, pretty much. Even though there's technically a democracy.
I take you've no plans of going there.
I've been there, mate. I've been there. Been there a dozen times. It's great. I love it. But I behave myself. I certainly wouldn't be caught doing graffiti over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. But so there are lots of different ways, to run the world. And our system is, it just seems like, our society's just become too liberal and
ultimately
not liberal as in the Liberal
base
Party.
Of everything we've said, every single problem is that there is a total lack of caring for the actual people by those in charge.
Yeah, I think that's the point. You've made that a lot.
That's the core problem here. They don't give a shit about us.
No.
And so this march that's coming on August 31st, whoever's starting it, I reckon it'll be really big, because Australians are just going, we've had enough.
We've had enough. Yeah.
Bring us back and we're Australians. This is our country. Because I told you today, and I said it in a rant the other day, we owe $1 trillion, and yet we're sitting on all this mineral wealth.
Of course.
Well, the analogy of that is like dying of malnutrition in an all-you-can-eat buffet. And that's what Australia is now. It's that ridiculous.
We have one of the greatest, we are possibly the greatest minerally rich country on the face of the earth.
Yeah,
and we also have a lot of these we have a lot of uranium, and no one can do anything with. Why don't we have at least a couple of nuclear power stations? It's just crazy. We have so many resources here, and all this rubbish about climate change. And I'm sure you've all noticed your power bill has gone up 2 or 3 times in the last.
Well, how much you said yours has gone up
3 times? In the last 5 years, and it's just ridiculous. And I know there are people, little old ladies and stuff, who cannot afford to turn the heater on in a long winter. So then you've got your kind of greenies who are upper middle class white people who have your trust fund or whatever.
Think of that. So you've got an old lady who's worked probably
all her life,
either had children or after children worked all her life. She's in this country and it's freezing and she can't switch on the heater, even though she is sitting on one of the largest deposits of coal and natural gas. Literally this far below her house. And she's got to be frozen.
And also, you traveling around. We are such a big country, and we have something like over 30 billion trees. Essentially, Australia is carbon neutral already, and you know what I mean. We could double our coal burning output, and we would have energy that would be like a quarter of the price it currently is. But our government literally doesn't want that. It has nothing to do with saving the planet. It has everything to do with enslaving people. The 15-minute city. You will own nothing. They've made housing unaffordable. They're now going to make the cost of living unaffordable. And also, AI is coming. They're still going to get rid of your job. AI is going to replace everybody. Everyone will be sort of on a dole kind of situation. Like what's it called, universal basic income.
Yeah.
And then everyone.
The
houses that exist will be taken over by the government, and a house will have to have 12 people in it.
Yeah, Soel, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, we've just talked about that with Joel talking about it.
Yeah,
I think though, Solly, I think it's got to spread because we're shadow banned. So I don't think the freedom movement's got anything to do with this march whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's
true bourgeoisie standing up. Who've had enough of the bullshit.
Yeah,
and the gatekeepers are all upset. Monica Smith and your Joel Jamal, they're upset because they can't control it. But fuck it, they have to control everything. I love those two, and I've had them, I've had Monica Smith on Sam's show, and I love Joel Jamal as well. But they don't have to gatekeep every event. If this is a mass, people standing up who've had enough, and let's face it, pretty much everyone has had enough. Let's all attend on August 31st and cause trouble.
Well, this is what we've wanted, though. Everyone says, when are they going to wake up? When are they going to wake up? Well,
Maybe now.
This might be it.
That's right.
This might be their birth. Epic was where we all came together.
Yep.
This is the next gen. These are the replacements, our reinforcements.
Yep.
This is the This is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
I'm hearing Tom Vogel, who I love.
Yeah, look, Tom's all right. Tom's all right.
Said he's got tradies that have said they've never been to any of the marches, but they've had enough and they're coming to this one.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot of people pissed off.
A lot of the gatekeepers are upset because obviously there have been people that have been sent to this movement to act as gatekeepers to keep it on message, or the official speakers or whatever, who are all ineffective mostly, let's be honest. So if this is not you obviously, but you're too silly to have been controlled opposition. You're too lovable. Now I can officially say he isn't controlled opposition unless you've been
I'd be in a better bus. I'd have a toilet in my bus.
Exactly. Look at this. He does
playing drums
things that are too cute like this.
Breaking drums on the thing.
Yeah.
So there's now the blue bee. While we got it here, this is
there it is.
This is not a real bee. Okay, this is not a real bee. This is a pretend bee, but it's a yellow bee. Now I love bees. That said, it's a slave.
They are slaves.
It never gets to breed. It works itself to death. And basically, I think there's like 12 if 1 teaspoon of honey is about 12 of the lifetime span of these bees, of the amount of honey something ridiculous comment like that. Anyway, so they live in a hive, follow a queen, work till they die, never think for themselves. That's what we hear.
Yeah, that's it.
The Aussie blue bee at some point in evolution went, fuck this, and
I'm going to be free.
I'm going to be free.
Yeah.
So this bee became this bee in this country.
That's right.
And so it doesn't live in a hive. It doesn't follow queen, but it wants to be a part of society.
Yep.
It wants to be a part of society.
You want to be an individual, but part of a greater whole.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So
isn't that what the Aussie spirit is really about, mate?
That's
what I mean? And it doesn't really matter where you come from. I'm somebody who believes you can come from other parts of the world, and as long as you are a proud Aussie, you're an Aussie as far as I'm concerned. You can. So I'm always somebody who welcomes people from all around the world who come here and really love our lifestyle. They love our values. This is a Christian country with kind of, whatever you want to call it, Christian values in the past at least, and is proud of our country, proud of our flag. So if you're that kind of person, you're an Aussie.
I'm just going to bring up something
that's what this is about, I think.
The other thing I love about this, though, is that
Can you pull that up?
Last night, Chris, who I used to think was a doctor, but he's actually a makeup artist, suggested instead of freebie, why don't you call it Be Free?
Yeah, I like that. Very Heideggerian.
Be free. Wait on. I'll get a better one. I've got one without.
Yeah, very Heideggerian.
Oh, you might have to talk about that. Here it is. Yeah. So this is it. This is what I think for Cafe Lockdown, because I've actually talked to Dave O'Neggs and a few other groups. They're looking to do their own bees. I know the What the Fuck Boys are doing their own bees. But Cafe Locked Out,
there it is.
There's the link there if you want to go look at some. That is Be Free.
I like it.
And so
because it's like, B, and it's also got B, as in like, B.
Yeah, see, it's got a B word.
It's almost got triple meaning.
It's got a B.
It's got triple meaning. Because there's B as in the insect, and then there's B as in go do it. But then there's B as in being.
And if it was this B, it'd be a slave. But
no.
It's Be Free.
And that is the Aussie spirit. That's the Anzac spirit, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Australia's always been about. And right? I think the globalists think we're an easy pushover. They always do their globalist experiments here. They thought we were suckers during the pandemic. They locked us down for the longest in the world. They think we're suckers. But I think August 31, we've got a chance to show them. Fuck you, mate. We're Aussies, and we're not going to participate in your.
So we're putting it on here now.
Internationalist, globozio, world order rubbish.
Okay, stop interviewing that. So it's on boxer shorts.
Oh, I like that one.
If you go to cafelockdown.com, look up beads. It's there. Basically, this actually could be an industry for the freedom movement.
Yep.
If you make jewelry, start making blue bee jewelry.
Yep.
There's other things like that we can do. And 832 is still out there for the people who love 832. You said you see 832.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I attend a lot of book markets and things, and I often see people with it, and people obviously come up and recognize me from the show and talk about you and everything. And you know, I've seen that a lot, and I reckon this is even more, you know, potentially, what's the word, Promethean, and you know, because it's a symbol, and we've been looking for a bit of symbol.
Tell us about why you're talking about that philosopher, Heidegger, whatever he is.
Heidegger. Well, I've got some books here. Heidegger was one of my favorite philosophers. Just here, there's a whole wall of books by Heidegger. Heidegger was a German philosopher. He was sort of interested in he believed that humanity had forgotten the question of being, and that the importance of our existence, we needed to get back to appreciating what it means to be and stuff. And his work is very profound and deep, and I highly recommend you read an introduction to Martin Heidegger if you really want to get into the deep waters of philosophy. Read a book he wrote called Being in Time. It's about 500 pages long. It's very complex, but that was one of the books that really got me into philosophy. I read that book from cover to cover and blew my mind, ladies and gentlemen. And so he's somebody who is a very profound thinker, like Friedrich Nietzsche, whose books are also behind me. We've got Ecce Homo just there, which is the got nothing to do with homosexuality, by the way. It's his autobiography, and we've also got first edition of Catch-22, and we've got a very nice edition of 1984 by George Orwell.
Robin encourages the Cure has already got a B thing on, so she's got theirs. Good. And I think Mantra has got a B, so they could be collectible as well.
Yeah.
But basically,
well, I got mine.
Yeah, that's it. So
I'll be wearing it on August 31.
So if he's at the markets, it'll be interesting to see if people come up and go, oh, the blue bee.
The blue bees.
So we will be getting bee free will be coming on ours in the next stuff coming out.
And how do people order the merchandise if they want to get some, mate?
Oh, cafelockdown.com or Legend Apparel is another one for the hats.
Yeah,
I'll put that up in a sec. But it's basically I'm just looking here. Rahana had a great ad for the magnolia tree. I don't see the damn thing. There's that must be it. Is that it? Okay.
Is this your new play?
Yeah, this is. I'll talk about that in a sec.
All right. What else is going on, mate?
Now.
Yep.
Let's promote Be Free and everyone get behind it. Thanks, Zelda. And this is who we are. And I don't want violence. I don't want blood in the streets. We
never get.
I don't think we can build a new country on the blood of our brothers and sisters.
Peaceful protests,
Yeah.
Even though the globalists are coming for us, they're in a war with us. But
now this guy, if you don't know, has another dark secret, and that is when he was young. And let's talk about something completely different.
All right.
When he was young, he set up a club called the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And what did you do at the Hellfire Club?
Well, it was a kind of, a bit of a wild kind of nightclub. I was, a young guy. I was a bit of a geek, you know what I mean, to some extent. But I went to Los Angeles, and there was this girlfriend I had there who was a pretty wild. She was a Jewish girlfriend. She was about 6 years older than me. I was about 21, 22. She was about 28. And she took me to these wild kind of kinky sex clubs in Los Angeles. Then I came back and I had a girlfriend in Australia, and she was having a birthday party, and I went along to this birthday party, and I told the people who run the venue about this clubs I went to, and I said I think I might try doing something like that back here in Australia. And I got together some kind of really of the best DJs at the time. David Thrussell. So I met David Thrussell because the band Snog was all on Triple J at the time. That's when they played David Thrussell back then, and that was a very popular song. Lies Incorporated was the album he had out. So I contacted him through Triple J. They gave me his number. And then I contacted Ollie Olsen, who'd worked with Michael Hutchence on the Max Q project, who worked with Richard Lowenstein on the film Dogs in Space, and then a couple other DJs like Andrew Till and other people from the techno scene. So we got them in, and we combined it with this kind of kinky club scene, and it just for the first 6 weeks it did okay. And then we had Kate Sobrano come along to the event, and we had somebody from the Truth newspaper there.
Now who remembers the Truth newspaper?
Yeah, it was a bit like, what's it like? I don't know.
Naughty little bit. Yeah, I can remember the Truth.
It was a bit naughty of newspaper. Anyway, when she attended my club, the Hellfire Club, she came to see Ollie music, but she had to look downstairs at what was going on, and it just said Kate Sobrano attends kinky sex club, and it was the front page of the Truth. And then the following week we had 5,000. We had 500 people, and then the Age did a story about a month later. A couple of photojournalists and a writer, Andrew Masterson, I think it was. He came along, and they did a big spread in the middle of the Age, and then the club was packed, and then it became an institution there.
So what did you do there? Give us an example of some things you can speak about.
I can speak about this. We didn't do anything illegal, mate. It's just an S&M club. There were S&M clubs before, but they were mainly associated with the gay scene or whatever. And I just took it commercial to a certain extent, took it to the straight scene, And, it was just something, it was around the time, it was a very hedonistic period where people were taking ecstasy, they were discovering their sexuality. And, people always often accuse me of being homophobic because of a few statements I've made here and there, which is ridiculous because I used to run the Hellfire Club. We had almost a third of the audience was gay, lesbian.
Have you had sex with these men?
No, I didn't have sex with them, but they would get up on stage and they would do S&M scenarios.
But you haven't had sex with them?
No, I didn't have sex with them, mate, but I would enable the situation for them to participate and consensually if they wanted. And so it was a consensual club where people over the age of 18 came along.
Have you had sex with a black man?
No, I've never.
So you're homophobic and racist.
Well, of course I am, mate. I'm from the far right, mate, but I think I've got the card over here. Hang on. You just, here we go. Can we play this? This is the first card for the.
My wife was a cadet journalist at the Truth newspaper.
That's the opening night card for the Hellfire Club.
Oh wow!
So I had a good time running that in the '90s, but
how much fun is that?
I had a lot of very hedonistic '90s. A lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll and stuff. But at the end of the '90s, I got out of it. I went back to university, studied philosophy. My friend Heidegger here, and that's when I founded the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, and began to make films.
So again. Why did it end? Why did it end?
Well, because it would have killed me, mate. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew people who died in the '90s from too much good living. You know what I mean? I mean, people were taking everything, like ecstasy, cocaine, things.
Heroin was big then.
I never had heroin to this day, but there are people trying all kinds of things, and I mean, I remember we went to Mardi Gras or something like that. We went up to Sydney. And we bumped into with my girlfriend at the time, Lisa. But it was just a place to go at school because we were part of this whole club scene. And we were waiting for some tickets. And the woman we were met there, she was like a junkie. And then by the time Sunday came around, she OD'd.
Okay, we've got to stop this now. Guess who else used to work there?
Who?
You're never going to guess.
David Russell.
Julian Assange.
That's true.
That's true.
Just one night, only one night. Well, what happened was...
that's why Julian Assange, you notice that he never sits down? That's because someone spanked him so hard, he's still...
I don't think so. No, that's not true at all.
He does.
But it's funny.
I saw a picture of Assange's butt, and it has Richard
emblazoned on it.
I
don't think so.
By a hot... What's the hot branding iron?
That was up to John Shipton. That was not my job. That was up to John Shipton, not my job. And no, what happened was Ollie Olsen was a friend of Richard Lowenstein. I think Richard Lowenstein knew Julian Assange. At the time, obviously he wasn't world famous. He hadn't done WikiLeaks. He was known at the time as the Mad Professor. He was just somebody connected to the early internet, because I remember Ollie came to me and said, we're going to broadcast the DJ set on Sunday night on the internet. And I go, what the hell's the internet?
That is such a great thing.
And they said...
Today's Hellfire Club would have a shedding warning nowadays.
Yeah, I reckon.
Mark, that's awesome, bro.
Definitely would. I don't know if we'd get away with it today.
Yeah.
Certainly wouldn't have gotten away with it during the COVID time. But anyway, Ollie, organised us to play the DJ set, and the person who came into the club that day and set it all up was Julian Assange. And I just remember him as a blonde-haired young man, probably 23. And I remember going there that night. They had these glasses where you would sort of, you'd drop an ecstasy tablet and you would watch the flashing lights. And, I know that Julian had come to the club on other nights and that he was a fan of Ollie Olsen's music and he was a fan of David Thrussell, because David Thrussell as band Snog, if you go back and look at Julian Assange's Twitter page, he shared 2 or 3 times, he shared the music of David Thrussell. A couple of his videos, particularly that one, what's it called? Hypocrisy, that song.
Cheerful Hypocrisy. We used to play that a lot.
We love that one, and Julian's a fan of that. And isn't it great to see him out of jail now and to see him marching? I actually really liked, obviously, I know there are people that are conflicted in relation to the Israel and Palestine conflict, and to be honest, I respect both sides.
Okay, so Gail says, what do you think about Julian Assange going to the Sydney March?
I think that's a good thing. Yeah, I thought that was great. Good to see him out, because that's the first major kind of march he participated in. I think the left is correct. Even if you have some pro-Zionist sympathies, I think this war has gone on too long. I think that it's also, as you were mentioning before, I think it's, Israel's reputation is, suffering at the moment. You know what I mean?
Tatters,
They had some capital because of what happened during World War II, and that a lot of it's being squandered. So even if I think you support Israel, and obviously there probably are people who watch this show who do, it's a time for the war to end. And Donald Trump, for all his faults, he's promised to be the president of peace, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to see peace brought there, as he would probably be happy if the Ukraine war ended, because that was one of his election promises. Well, so I think no matter what side, and we don't want to necessarily attack people who support.
But there's no argument.
The Zionist side.
The trouble with Palestine now, there's no arguments to justify it, because everyday people sitting at home are looking at Instagram, and there are children who are suffering terribly. Shocking. And then there's videos of what Palestine looked like, and now it's just rubble.
Well, Hiroshima got off lighter than Gaza.
Yeah, and now it looks like rubble.
Looks like a rocket.
So basically, Israel, whether they're the good people, the bad people, they've lost this war due to the internet, due to Instagram, and they're losing. They're losing
the publicity war.
I've never heard so much anti-Semitic stuff now as and people.
What's funny is it's coming from left-wing people. I've had left-wing people come up and behave worse than me.
But this is what they're seeing now, because it won't stop, and the whole world is saying stop, and they're being this, and they're just saying no, we can't, and this and this. But unfortunately, we're just watching. It's like when Vietnam. I mean, the Vietnam War basically came to an end because you had that young girl walking out of the fire with her skin on fire.
People had enough,
and people went, "What? No, that's too much. That's too much."
Yeah.
Now we see that every single day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah, we've had enough.
And they say that some of it's set up, and I know it's set up. You can see that they set up. They do.
But not all of it's set up, mate.
But not all of it's set up. That's right. And now the doctors are coming out that have been there, and the doctors are talking about the things they've had to do. 2 young children. I reached out to one, but I think he was on Tucker Carlson, so I doubt he'd come on my show. But I was trying to get one just so we could hear from the horse's mouth what they were seeing.
Yeah.
And to listen to it is horrific.
Yeah.
And and then there's still great questions, huge questions about the attack that started all this.
Yeah.
You know, that
the fact that they allowed it to happen to
Israel had 6 hours where they didn't react. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And from a blue bee, we like sense. I mean, we don't like highs, but we like sense. And that.
Have you ever noticed too that Hamas seems to do everything it can at the worst moment? Like there was some talk of a ceasefire, and then Hamas releases a video of like an Israeli prisoner digging his grave inside a tunnel. You know what I mean? Like the exact moment when that should not be released, it is released. It often makes me think: is Hamas an agent provocateur? You know what I mean? There's often been sayings that Al Qaeda was secretly working for, Saudi intelligence, secretly working for Mossad. Is Hamas itself? Hang on, let me make the point, then you can respond.
No.
Is Qatar secretly funding Hamas, but with Israeli support, so that they are attacking? They're like this little, don't want to use the term bee, but they're this little wasp that's attacking whenever Israel feels it needs a justification. So I don't know if that's true. It's just a thought experiment. Maybe it is, but there are agent provocateurs. They're essentially double agents. Is that what's going on?
We don't actually know. No, look at the back. Look at say Osama bin Laden. When they finally found him, he was living in Pakistan next to all these
military intelligence.
There's no way they didn't know he was there.
They knew.
Then they go in to get him with these 2 radar evading helicopters. And they crash one. Then they send in a big motherfucker helicopter that you wouldn't need a radar to hear it. And Pakistan, who attacked India and took out all those fighters in one go, did nothing. And they come in and then they shoot him in the face, so we can't actually see who he is.
His body
and then they bury him in the sea, so we never have a funeral. You couldn't take a selfie. You couldn't take a selfie. Hey, look, before we kill you, can you just smile?
Exactly.
I'm Osama.
Bye.
No,
it's crazy. It's a lie, isn't it?
It's like they got to a point where they can't be bothered, and they don't have to try to lie to us much hard because we don't do nothing.
Yeah. Have you heard about
a few of us march? And that's it.
No, there's something definitely dodgy with the whole. Obviously, with September 11, there's something incredibly dodgy. Plus, also with the assassination of Osama bin Laden. Have you heard that we're being invaded by aliens in November? Have you heard that coming down?
I have, yeah.
There's always been, I'm sure some of you are on top of this, but there's long been a rumor, and I can't believe they're going to try and do it, right? Because they probably won't. But I imagine they're testing the water, because that's how they do these things, right? They test the water. So at the moment, there's a guy called Avi Loeb, right? There you go. That's all you need to know. That's an interesting name for you. So he's saying that there's a spaceship coming towards Earth, and that it could be attacking us in November. Now, this is called Project Bluebeam. This is where they fake an alien attack upon humanity. Now, I imagine what they're doing is they're looking at all these stories, news stories. How is it landing with people? Are people believing it? Of course, I don't think people are.
People don't give it. Was it like, remember when they had the drones over New York?
Yeah.
No one gave a shit.
No one gave a shit. Yeah.
Aliens, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then they can't be worse than you guys. Now, I can't believe if this is to the people who believe Earth is round, which is one of them. Now, space is so fast that are you telling me that a civilization that has finally found us, has probably traveled light years to get to us, only wants to kill us? I don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least they might want to say, hey, I just thought I'd get to know you guys.
I do believe they've probably found alien technology. I do believe aliens probably do exist.
Yeah.
I do believe maybe there was a crash at Roswell or whatever. I do believe they've probably had 50, 70 years to examine the technology to the point where they probably know how to use it. So they're probably going to fake an alien attack upon humanity. Now, I don't know if they're going to go ahead and do it this November. As I said, they've sent out Mr. Avi Loeb to sort of test the waters. I'd say the waters aren't good because you've also seen they're always touting a new pandemic. There's someone to do.
Can we get vaccinated against an alien invasion?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what.
Dr.
Fauci
could you
and Bill Gates
come up with a vaccination against alien invasion?
Like, I'll tell you what,
mRNA anti-Klingon something?
We'd all be lining up for the jab, wouldn't we? There needs to be an anti-bullshit jab, ladies and gentlemen, because, and maybe that's this show. Watching Cafe Lockdown is your anti-bullshit jab, because this is your inoculation against being fed a load of crap.
There was something else. There was that the aliens are coming, that this is coming.
Yeah.
What happened to the pyramids?
Oh, yeah.
They came out and they said they found all this stuff below the pyramids. Like, wow. Like here, it goes 3 miles deep or something incredible.
Yeah.
Silence.
I know.
What? Why aren't we hearing anymore? That's like a big story.
I know. And they've tried to launch about 5 pandemics since COVID ended. And they're not landing. People don't give a shit. Unless it's basically the bubonic plague, an aerial bubonic plague combined with, like, I don't know, Ebola. No one's going to care. Unless it's like half the population are dropping dead. You know what I mean? Like instantly, as soon as they come across it, no one cares. Because they keep doing these stories like, oh, there's a new virus. And the media's like, and they probably look at the
I know what to talk about. I want to talk about the Sydney girl, Sydney Sweeney or Sydney.
Yeah, I love her genes. We love Sydney Sweeney's genes.
First off,
Gene.
Before we start, What the Fuck Boys last night, they said apparently the jeans company has increased in value by $80 billion.
80 billion.
80 billion or so. It's just gone 80 billion a million. It's just gone nuts.
Yeah, it might have been 80 million, but somewhere in there.
No, I think it's more. People are buying the jeans who've never heard of the jeans company. They're buying them from overseas just as a protest. So if you go woke, you go broke.
Yeah, but if you
go right,
you get right.
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right.
And so they're going crazy. And I have to say, no offense, but a big fat trans person, and no offense to trans person, in a pair of jeans with their belly out and looking at me with that condescending face isn't going to make me buy that jeans.
No.
Not saying that Sweeney would make me buy the jeans, but when I look at Sweeney, I look at Sweeney for a lot longer than I look at the tranny.
Yes.
And I just do, because she's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, that look she's got, I'm a bloke, I'm just thinking, wow, will I buy the jeans? No. But I get it.
It's like
I get it, because this is advertising. If you want to sell something, right? I know this sounds really old-fashioned, but it's very handy to sell something with somebody in the ad who you want to fuck.
That's right. Sex sells.
Whether it's Brad Pitt and you're that way, you're going, wow, look at him. I'm not saying, I'm just saying he's a very attractive man. He's good actor.
He is attractive.
But if you want to sell jeans, you think you look at
her, you go, wow. Mate. This is the way it used to be. Nature is healing. Woke is dying. This is what I think it's a symbol of. But, I think it's great, this whole ad. And I think she did one for Baskins and Robbins, and they also went through the roof. So, there's no stopping Sydney Sweetie, and her initials are SS. And and have you seen the other thing? It's Sydney Sweetie. They accuse her of like the jeans. Like the left is saying, oh, they don't mean jeans as in the things you wear. They're talking about her genes. It's like eugenics. What do you think of that bullshit?
It's correct. She has got good genes.
She has got pretty good genes.
God,
yeah. Pretty up. Yep.
Yeah.
We love it.
I didn't even realize they were talking about the genes. I get it now. I thought they were always talking about her. So
whether it's jeans with a J or G, we like it both.
I understand. What do you like? I don't know. I actually think a lot of the woke stuff is being pushed by a minority going through, and most people don't care. I saw a great video the other day. It was two lesbians in America, and they were in a bookstore, and they were going, "Oh my God!" And they were going through the kids because they've got a whole gay book section for kids,
really,
like the alphabet for kids.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've never seen it, but I've heard it.
Even that, like they're going, B is for bi and C is for coming out. This is aimed at little preschool. This is like 3-year-olds.
No, that's bad, isn't it?
And these gay girls who are together going, no, because you don't talk about sex with kids. You just let the kids talk. And this is the other thing.
Now, we were a very gay-friendly club, Hellfire, but the gay community knew never to discuss all this stuff with kids. The same as you would not discuss the Hellfire Club, go to school and give a lecture on the fucking Hellfire Club. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You let people grow up naturally. They discover their sexuality in their teens on their own.
For today's lesson,
without any interference from Catholic priests.
We're going to tie up our new principal, and our substitute teacher is going to spank the hell out of her. And
back in our day, that
does
was.
Anyone want to go with the cane kiddies? Come on.
Hang on a minute. That was school in our day.
What's your safety word? What's her safety word again?
There's no safety word.
Can we hear it, kiddies? What's her safety word?
Oh, you're mad.
I mean, it's bullshit.
It is. It's crazy.
It's bullshit.
It's indoctrination.
If the drag queens want to go read books
to old ladies,
to a new audience, go to the jail, the men's jails. I'm sure they'd love to hear
to
stories
senior citizens' homes.
from a pretty woman.
There's not enough people who are helping our senior citizens who are in retirement homes. If people want to go and do something like that, they can do it to as many senior citizens as they like.
Absolutely.
Well, they can read to them anyway.
Absolutely. So this is all bullshit. And this is where we've had 5 years now of endless
culture wars.
It's cultural terrorism.
And I think we're entering a new geopolitical
that wasn't
era.
My word, actually. Someone told that to me the other day. I can't remember who it was. Sorry that I stole it, but it's such a great word.
I think the era of neoliberalism, or globalism is dying, and that Donald Trump is the beginning of that. Now, Donald Trump, I'll admit, isn't perfect. He hasn't released the Epstein files. He's obviously compromised on Israel in some way. So he's been a little bit of a disappointment. But we should also think Trump is still doing some great things. RFK Jr. is doing some great things. What's the name of that woman? Tulsi Gabbard is doing some great things. Right. What are you laughing about now?
If there was an alien invasion, if they come down in their ships,
take us to our leader.
This is what I think they should do. When they land in their ships, and all these lizards or octopus-looking things, whatever they are, come rushing out, we all go rushing in, take over the ship, and go, it's all yours.
We're leaving.
We're out of here.
Let's go to Musk. Listen, the one thing I like about Elon Musk, people complain about Elon Musk, but I like the idea of
I like Musk.
Yeah. I mean, his whole thing about putting chips in people's brains, as far as I heard, that's voluntary. If you want to do it, go ahead.
It is voluntary, and he's helping people. I saw this paralyzed guy. Now he can use the computer.
I don't think there's anything that Elon Musk has said where he wants to compulsory put a chip
if they
inside
put a chip in your head.
I don't want one.
This is 21 here. No, let me finish. To everyone here, just saying if they did, and you were allowed to have one thing, like I want to know how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to know how to speak Russian. What would it be?
Well, I mean,
you can have one enhanced super feature.
Every technology has advantages. For example, I have a lot of books in this house. If I lived to be 1,000, I wouldn't be able to read all of them. But with like a chip in my brain, I could say,
"Oh my God, you could!
These are all my books. These are all the books I own. Download the entire contents into my brain." And it would technically be not possible. Now, that might be something that would be of interest to certain people. I don't know. I think you've got to go back to
your brain,
the causes that were raised. Obviously, we don't support Ted Kaczynski, but if you read his manifesto on technological slavery, he had a lot of questions about the dangers of technology, and so does my favorite philosopher, Martin Heidegger. He wrote a book called The Question of Technology, which is an absolute masterpiece, which he talks about technology as being like he calls it a Gestell in German, which is like an enframing. It's like a trap, essentially. That technology, that human beings think they control technology, but it doesn't.
No.
That it's like a daimonic. Daimonic is like almost demonic. You know what I mean? Like it's almost something. Like the animal world, you can't fully control it, and that this is what technology is. And it's been set loose.
The Brussels sprouts has come, and Diane.
Yep.
There's not yet because there's children present.
That's right.
So what was your thing? Was you'd read books? So actually, out there, to anyone, Clark, Jason, if you had a chip in your brain and you're allowed to have one enhanced feature, what would it be? Not physical feature, what would it be? I don't know what it'd be for me.
For you? Yeah. But look, yeah, I mean, I saw a documentary where there was some woman who didn't have the use of her arms, and that they put this chip in, and she was able to use the computer and do all this stuff. And I thought for somebody in that position, it would be a desirable thing. I think technology is like this. It can be used for good. And in that example of helping somebody who's disabled, would be a good situation, a good use. But technology can be used for good or bad. And then you've got someone like Sam Altman, who's behind ChatGPT. You got to be careful. Someone like that, mate. He's evil. He's a Zionist, and that necessarily matters.
Sam Newman.
Sam Altman, not Sam Newman.
Altman. Yes.
Check out that guy, mate.
Sam Altman is a concern.
He's a bit like Harvey Uvari Navarro.
People don't like Musk. But I think Musk is a lot friendlier and a lot more user-friendly than Altman.
Altman's evil. I'll tell you that right now.
Altman was the one that decided, I'm baffled. How do you manage to keep still long enough to read a book? Says Valerie.
It's very true. It's how I relax, actually. It's how I do keep still. And the other one to watch is the guy who heads Palantir. His name is he's not Peter Thiel, though he's a bit of a worry himself, because he was interviewed talking about the Antichrist. And he was almost like he was involved in bringing about the Antichrist appearance, which could be AI, ladies and gentlemen. But his name is Karp. I can't remember. Alex Karp, his name is. Another Zionist. He heads what's it called? Palantir, which is essentially a mass surveillance thing that's just being rolled out under Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, someone's anti-Sam here. Watch.
Anti-Sam.
Sam Newman is sinister now. The handler's got to him. He's Sam Newman's handler. This is Sam.
I'm not his handler. No one can handle Sam Newman. I love Sam Newman, and
he works for Sam Newman now.
He's at the moment he's traveling in northern Queensland. I mean, obviously Sam is of a certain generation. He's a baby boomer, and he watches a lot of Sky News. But I mean, he's his own man, and he's we don't agree on everything, but we agree on a lot. And it's been a pleasure working for him. And I can tell you right now, he's on the level, and he's a nice guy, and he's a reasonably loyal person to his friends. Takes a while to get into his inner circle, but he's an authentic guy, and he's also a very smart guy, and he's also got a very popular audience from obviously his football crowd. So Sam Newman is a legend, but like anybody, I mean, I'm not perfect. Michael's not perfect. It would be hard to believe that he's not, and Sam isn't perfect either. So we're all imperfect, but we all do our best to bring different opinions, contrary views that we started the show with, talking about that, and this is where this is why shows like what's his name, Stephen Colbert, have been shut down. This is why that silly, what's the name of that guy who's on the guy with the funny big haircut, Howard Stern, has been cancelled.
Oh,
because they all went woke. They all went super woke. Jimmy Kimmel, all these shows, Jon Stewart, all been cancelled. And the things that are popular are your Joe Rogans and your Tucker Carlsons.
Do you know what I think happened with the woke?
What?
This is why I think the woke is dying.
Why?
Because the right is actually really nice, and these people come along with these crazy ideas. I think a man can give birth, and we go, no worries. and then they go on and on. We want to put drag queen in the school. What? Yeah, and we're sort of slow going, but they pushed it and kept pushing it. They should have stopped.
They did, yeah. They went silly.
They should have stopped. They should have stopped somewhere there. Once they said, I want to go into a woman's change room.
Yep.
And women's toilets, and we're thinking, hang on, mate.
It's a bit like Tropical Thunder, you know what I mean? When he advised, don't go full retard. They went full retard, ladies and gentlemen. They did. They went full tard. It's like if you're going to play somebody and win an Oscar, you don't go full retard, right? You only do it a little. You have maybe a little something wrong with your hand. You know what I mean? You don't do a Daniel Day-Lewis and you go full fucking,
So you heard it here first time. The reason the woke is destroying is, as my philosopher friend Richard put, they went full retard. They should have stayed. They should have stayed out of the kindergartens, out of the public toilets. Just walked around saying, "I'm a woman with my beard. No worries, not bothering me. Do what you want." Once they went for the kids, that's when the people went, "Hang on, hang on."
I think even Stalin and Mao would go, "Hang on a minute, what the hell is this?"
Yeah.
They would have had them all sent to a gulag quicker than you could say, Klaus Schwab.
So that's the thing there. And look, a lot of it is forced on us. I drive towns down. I don't see a ton of woke people demanding to go into things. You see a few transvestites here, but or whatever they're called, and they're fine. They're just getting on with their lives.
We're all for being tolerant of other people's lifestyles. If I meet a transgender person, I'll call them a he or a she, whatever they want to.
If you're an adult and you've decided that that's what you want to do for you,
good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. But we don't need to indoctrinate young people with it. We don't need to have it pushed on the 9 o'clock news or on The Project, which also got cancelled along with Stephen Colbert.
To tell you the truth, they talk the bullshit that they get bullied and they're bullied into death. When I was a tram driver, this is like 9-10 years ago.
How long was that?
It was a while ago now. There used to be a guy that got in queue. Now, I reckon he was probably a lawyer or a barrister, because that's that lawyer-barrister area. He had a beard as long as mine, and he used to come on the tram with his wife's negligee and a little handbag, lipstick, and he'd just sit on the tram. And I remember this big Maori guy looking at him, and then he just looked away and just had a smile. That was it. No, I saw him do that loads of times. I never saw anyone bully him. I think he wanted to be bullied. He's like, why isn't anyone bullying me? You know, I've got my tackle out here. No one ever did, because Melbourne was cool.
This is what's weird about this white politics.
Anyone else, you do what the hell you want.
Michael, and this is interesting. You know, in the 90s and in the 00s, to a certain extent, you know, things like racial differences or sexuality differences and gender differences to do with it, that had all been pretty much accepted by then. But it was when this really kind of radical woke politics, that was when the division really began.
Yeah, well, they have to shame us.
But it was like counterproductive. It's almost like they're hurting the very people that they're trying to protect. It's almost like all this woke stuff has made, you know, a lot more racial animus, a lot more animus, you know, against the gay community, a lot more animus against the trans community. In a sense, it's like the whole woke thing has been counterproductive to the very agendas that they. I think that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it started, to be honest, it's going to be a lot of trouble. I think a lot of shit started with the Me Too movement too, because the Me Too movement basically said all the women are angels and all the men are trying to get them. And that's bullshit. We're all playing the game of life. All of us. Doesn't matter what's between your legs. We're all playing the game of life the way we play it. And let's be honest about Weinstein. Yeah, he might have been a fat, ugly-looking fella. And but he was in a position of power. He produced some excellent movies.
He did,
If I see a Weinstein movie, I know this is going to be a good movie. He had the knack for movies. And we
people are looking at all the ugly Hollywood stars.
That a lot of women went up there. And this was Hollywood. It's been Hollywood since forever. You don't think Marilyn Monroe slept with someone to get in a gig? And think of it. And I'm not saying it's right. You know, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that here you are. If you sleep with me, you get to win an Oscar, get $2 million to $20 million a movie, and maybe be famous to live in Beverly Hills for the rest of your life.
I mean,
or you can keep your dignity and keep working in Hooters. You know, so this is what was on offer to people. I know it's awful, but this is an awful thing to the way the world works, and yet they try to push this puritanical bullshit on us. So now, in this era now, 2025, we can't have a Hellfire Club and celebrate it the way and do all the drugs and stuff that we did. What year did you do it?
In the 90s, mate.
In the 90s. And this is it. It's like in the 60s,
with all,
our parents were watching Number 96.
And I'll go into
the box.
Woodfest. They'll go into Woodstock.
And there's nudity everywhere.
Nudity was everywhere. Drugs are everywhere.
Richard has a great book he showed me downstairs. It was from what's that book here about?
Oh, yeah, it was John Willie's Bazaar magazine. Yeah. It was like, you know, this is underground.
And what year was that?
1930s,
1940s. They were doing the same thing then. This is how we've always been. This is right. Linda Fellows, always trying to divide and conquer us. Always trying to turn us against each other.
That's the thing. You know, we should always be aware of their divide and conquer. And I think that's what woke is, you know. I even think it's here within the freedom movement. There's constant like people trying to get people to fight with each other, which is stupid. I like everybody. I don't, you know. I mean, I like Ivy Yemeni. I like the Thomas Sewell or whatever, and I like Joel Jamal. I like Monica. I like you. I like Damo.
Like you see,
I like Robin.
You see this image here. So this is from the Hellfire Club. This is a bondage woman. This now, maybe people go, oh my god. The people are saying, oh my god. I bet when you were in play school or kindergarten, you were playing doctors and nurses or mummies and daddies, whatever. That's what we. No, I'm just talking about. There's so many lonely people out there, men and women who can't meet them. I meet them everywhere.
Yeah.
And I met this woman the other day. She's gorgeous looking, and she used to be quite famous once, single. And then there's other people single, and these men who are lovely men who I meet are single. And thinking, why can't they meet anyone?
There should be.
Why has it got so hard?
Yeah.
When
and a lot of people,
just to finish, when we were kids, we used to be playing doctors and nurses. They have gone in the way of us with their society of separating us and giving us all this shame and all this other stuff.
Atomization.
Yeah, that's my word. Instead of allowing us just to be ourselves.
I mean, that was the whole point of what I was attempting to do. It wasn't the whole thing about hellfire, and it was just the fact that I have a place where adults could come consensually and just have a good time. You know, let's have a look here. Ricardo Bosi. Do I like Ricardo Bosi? I mean, look, there were some things Ricardo Bosi said that were fun. I think that he did look a little bit like, controlled opposition or something, because he had that military background. I can't be sure of that, but, I mean, I enjoyed some things that Ricardo Bosi said, but, that's the way I look at it. I love a lot of these far-right influences or freedom movement influences. I take what I like from them, and if I disagree with them on some things, for example, with Abiy Yemeni, I like some of what he says on the freedom movement, but all the stuff, the pro-Israel stuff, I can't stand. But I understand that's his thing because he is somebody who's, I think, from Israel, isn't he, originally?
Well, of course he's from Israel. Why wouldn't he defend Israel?
Well, there you go. So he's Israeli. So there you go. Yeah. So I understand. I understand if you're from that territory.
I think he was in the Israeli army.
There you go. He's an IDF soldier, mate. So there you go. So he's going to have
something. No, but you are going to be. You would expect if I was overseas
to have those sympathy.
But if I was overseas,
if you had somebody who was Japanese, they probably like the emperor.
But if I was overseas and someone was attacking Australia, I'd defend Australia.
Yeah. I know. I want, look, it's very interesting,
Oh my God, Jason, I don't want to post that. That's pretty funny.
In relation to the whole ethnicity thing, I mean, one of the things that
How do you know about Bossy Earl? You're in Texas.
Is that where she's from?
No, Earl's in Texas.
Oh, in Texas. So he gets around Bosie. Yeah. Bosie is okay, but he goes into the Q stuff. I agree. Q stuff seems a bit, the arrests are always happening next week, aren't they? And I mean, they've got all this stuff now. Donald Trump has evidence on Obama. He has evidence against Hillary Clinton. Why are there no arrests?
Sounds like 99% of my conversations with my ex-husband.
You're sitting on the table now.
Sorry.
That tells me off the whole
time.
That
is funny, Denise. Yeah, I'm lazy.
Yeah.
Can Richard open a new nightclub for adults where it opens at 7 p.m., has comfy couches and closes by 10 p.m.?
Yeah, look, there's actually, I've had a couple of people talk about me bringing the club back. So I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. It is something for a young man. I was in my 20s when I did it, and I had a great time doing it. And that's the time to really run a nightclub when you're in your 20s. And I met some really wonderful people.
We're all with that grey hair now.
We're all with grey hair.
So you can, so we can have bondage bingo.
There is a friend of mine. She runs her name is Isadora Van Camp, and she runs a night called Purr. She used to work at my Hellfire Club. She was like someone behind the bar. She was inspired by Hellfire and other clubs like it. And she runs an event called Purr. It happens every 6 weeks or so. Purr events. Look, check that out. If you want to go to that kind of Hellfire thing, that's the closest thing to it that I could recommend to people at the moment. So there you go.
I think there's a lot of jokes. So the Hellfire Club for people our age, we could have bondage bingo.
But exactly, So bondage raffle. Yeah. Anyway, mate, But we all still have a good time, and I had I went to a wonderful party on the weekend. Ebony Butler's birthday. We had a great time with a whole bunch of people. So private parties are the way to go usually these days.
Hell's Granny's Club.
What's this? Hell's Granny's Club. There you go.
Yeah. So that's what I say. Well, I was going to come up with a dating app for people our age and calling it Wrinkler.
Yeah. People wonder because I go on about Christian stuff these days. They go, "Have you found God, Richard?" I go, "Yes, I have." What's going on now?
The Horlicks Club.
The Horlicks Club. There we go.
Lynette, that is very funny.
Very funny.
That is very funny. Yeah. I could see us there. Yeah. There's, but this is about having fun too. I mean, look at what we're looking at. And now the last thing, digital ID.
Yeah.
Do you believe the government really cares about keeping our 16-year-olds safe?
No.
Or are they trying to control us?
This is a digital ID, Trojan horse, obviously. Is it true that we're all going to need to use our ID to get on the internet or something? Is that what's happening? I can't see it working. I can't see most people, like people's grandparents, have enough trouble just using Google or Facebook. Right. They're not going to know how to download their fucking ID. Yeah. Half of Australia's going to be off the internet, and the Labor government are going to shit the bed, which is what they love doing, ladies and gentlemen.
My parents watch Facebook, but they don't have an email.
I can't think of a single boomer that will be able to meet the criteria to put their ID on so they can use Google. So you're going to basically be disconnecting half of Australia.
A great freedom fighter, I won't say who, not me, but I won't say who. We were talking about this. No, I won't say who.
Go on.
But he's very funny.
Yep.
And he said to me, he said, we need to get an ad out there that allows men to know that when you log on to the internet to sort of watch amputee midget sex, the government's going to know. You understand that? The government's going to know. You're not going to be able to do that in privacy anymore, mate. The government's going to know.
Yeah.
And now, you think you're happy with the government knowing that? I don't think so. So, that's
they say that they want to protect, teenagers from watching, Andrew Tate or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they do want to try and stop teenagers. Because someone like Andrew Tate is very popular with teenage boys, because they don't like listening to woke stuff. They like listening to someone talk about masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, I think someone like Andrew Tate is somebody who's maybe hasn't got good views on women. But, I haven't often listened to those videos. I've often heard him talking about the global elites and, his views on that and, and his views on the Matrix. And some of those ideas are pretty solid,
Yeah.
I don't know everything about his background. I think that there's probably something a bit sleazy in his background. But, but the thing is like, maybe teenage boys can't understand that. They might listen to the misogynistic stuff. I think it's really up to the parents. If you want to stop, your kids,
the thing is,
you should limit the amount of time they can use.
You know why they watch Andrew Tate?
Why, mate?
Because young men are angry.
Of course they are.
It's like my play.
Yeah.
We've been filling them full of shame.
You're right. Just like your play.
Absolutely. Filling them full of shame, telling them to blame for everything, calling them toxic, saying that we need to train them so they're good men, like they've been born bad men.
Fuck off.
They've reached the fuck off stage.
Yeah.
And what's that guy's name?
And the fuck off stage is Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate is basically the one male finger to the world. He's the fuck you to the world.
And so is Nick Fuentes. He's another one. The Groper Army. Yeah, he's hugely popular at the moment. His videos are everywhere.
That's what it is.
The ones who say fuck you and don't give a shit, they're the most popular right now. They're the ones getting past all the gatekeepers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And that's why this demonstration on August 31 is so important, ladies and gentlemen, because there's clearly something the gatekeepers are upset about. So that means fucking go.
And the thing is, with women don't want men who are beta males.
No.
They don't want these men walking around who never say anything out the way, who never get this, who ask for it. They want men to be men.
Yeah.
In fact, often I've seen that the reason women love men is that men make them laugh.
Yeah.
Because they rock their boat a bit and they stuff like this. And because women have harder lives than men. They do.
Mm-hmm.
There's the raising of the kids. They often do more of the work than men. They have to put up with the shit. They have a harder life. And then sometimes men come along and cheer them up, make them laugh, or they're there,
you know what
give
they
them
said,
a hug.
What women find to be, one of the most sexy things about men? Reading, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why I love this house.
Yeah.
They come to this house and think either you just collect books and never read them, or you read a lot, which the latter is true.
So that's what the books are here to attract
women. Yeah, just to make fool women, and I'm an intellectual. Pretty cunning, eh? Pretty cunning could be global.
Michael Caine. I remember reading Michael Caine's autobiography, and he said, if you can make a woman's laugh, the
other one is laughter. Yeah, laughter. Yeah.
But the thing is, men and women, we go well together.
Yeah.
We go well together. We do. My mum and dad, they've been together over 50 years now. I think it's 60 years actually. They've been together 61 years.
They
would have had to still sit there on the couch like they're stuck in one continual joke. Who can get the laugh? You know what I mean? It's 60 years of doing that now, and they get on.
That's good.
And it's a lovely thing.
But,
they shouldn't be ashamed of it. It's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
And it's the other thing too is this weekend. This is a bit sad, but this weekend we've got a Sunday. We've got Roz coming on, and Roz is from a round table. They've done a huge study with all these pediatricians and midwives around the world talking about the terrifying rise of infertility and stillborn babies and stuff like this. And we're going to call this show We Want This Not to Be True. So it won't be funny like this, but it's coming up important this Sunday. I have to get Miley on somewhere else.
Yep.
But
obviously, since the vaccine, fertility rates have dropped, and that was one of the things we expected to happen, and it has.
Yeah, but the rate they're talking is just off the scale. Now, just
doesn't surprise me. You only got to watch that video with Bill Gates where he talks about if we, we can drop the world's population by 15% if we use vaccines.
That's right.
That's a direct quote, mate.
That's
quote
right. So
from the horse's mouth.
Now, I just want to talk now. I'm lucky here because Richard has seen 2 of my plays, so he's a bit of a fan of my plays, which is good. And I'm going to talk about this play coming up. I'll just play. So here it is here.
Here's the promo.
So we'll just
stand by, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll just get the promo on. We'll take a short break and do the promo. This is Rahana doing this. So here it is.
Boom.
Boom.
Play. We're back. There it is.
There we go.
Bang.
Okay, I'll press play.
In the front yard of the family's home stands a magnolia tree. It was Mum's favorite. In another time, her children would hunt its branches for the elusive singing cicadas. But Mum now has Alzheimer's, and her children have come together to choose her a nursing home. But secretly, Jack not only wants to let her go, but he has brought with him the means to do it. His success depends on you, as at the end of Act 2, the audience, via a secret vote, will choose the third act of this play, Nursing Home, or...
And so that's on it. It's on a Colac in the Red Rock Theatre on the 22nd, I think 22nd or 23rd. If you want some information, yeah, it's a good venue. But what I'm gonna, how do we get rid of this? You tell me, mate. So this is what it is. The play, it was the first play I ever wrote. It was originally called The Electric Bed. And what it is I was working in a nursing home when I first came to Melbourne, and I was working with all these Alzheimer's people, and the nurses would just come up and saying, we should just let them go. We should just let them go. They say that all day. And then I was thinking, well, how would a family do that? And so I wrote a play where 3 siblings came together and to pick a mum a nursing home. But the brother was a real estate agent. He realizes that the nursing home is going to take all the money from the house. His 2 sisters are going to be destitute. And his mum, who's got Alzheimer's and can't remember any of them and never wanted to be in a nursing home, is probably just going to rot away in this nursing home for years and years. And so the nursing home and the state will get all the money, and his sisters will be destitute. Yeah, actually, Mark, it's actually surprisingly funny. And so I wrote a play with 3 very ordinary Aussies where the brother tries Machiavellian-wise, Agatha Christie-wise, to talk his sisters into doing it, into saying that our morality is wrong and we need a new morality that can service everybody. That's what he tries to push. At the end of Act 2, he's convinced them both. I know you would think you've got to see it, but I didn't know how to end it. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because there's 2 endings. So I wrote 2 endings for the play. And it's the first play that I've heard of where the audience gets to vote in the murder mystery play. Do the family commit?
Nice touching it, mate.
Do they let the family commit the murder, or do they say no, you can't commit the murder? Both end, and we have 2 separate endings.
It places the audience in the kind of almost moral.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, every time it's on, the audience hangs around afterwards for longer than the play, and they can't stop talking. They finally are just absolutely chatting and chatting because they've been given an incredibly difficult moral dilemma, and then they have to choose. At one point, I'll tell you some of the funny things. Look, Magnolia Tree. Look up the Magnolia Tree and my name, Griffith, and you'll find a load of reviews. It's been on several times. The most interesting thing is we had one mother there once, and we had to do the vote, and her son was there, and he raised his hand to say yes to the murder, and she slapped him in the theatre. We had we had a full house in the Potato Shed in Geelong, which is about 300-seater. And when people voted for yes, there was these other people yelling out, "Put your hand down!" So the audience gets really this.
Yeah.
The humor comes from the understanding of the people, because it's all in the subtext. You see these people changing their morality to try make this acceptable. And but the most amazing thing is it's been on, I'm not sure, I was talking with Rahana, it's been on, she thinks about 50 or 60 times. I thought it was a bit more, but say it's been on 60 times. What I know is 58% of the time, Australian audiences vote to murder the mother, and the family murder the mother. And this is really interesting.
Eugenics is popular, mate.
Yeah, and we've had psychologists coming in going, wow, and they're asking, how do you know which audience will vote one way? We've never been able to figure it out. I've been there for every play. I won't be there for this one. I've been there for every play. And you look at the audience, you cannot decide. But this is what they do. When it comes to the voting, people go like this for the yes, like they look around to make sure no one can see, and they think, oh, and it really goes to the morality of nursing homes. See, what used to happen in nursing homes, say Richard here was in his 90s and he went into a nursing home and I happened to be his son. Now, what they do is he'd go in there, but he wouldn't be there long.
You're not going to kill me, are you?
No, he wouldn't be there long. He might be there a year at most, because if the flu came or COVID. But if the flu came, anything like that, they would let it take you.
Nature,
they would look after you, but they would let it take you. Now, now
I think they can keep people alive too long. Yeah.
Now you're worth money to that nursing home.
That's right.
So if Richard gets to a point where he can't poop, he can't eat by himself, he can't poop by himself, he can't walk, he's bedridden.
I don't like being the example in this.
He's worth a fortune to the nursing home. So if he gets the flu, the doctors come in, they get all this medication, and they try to keep them alive as long as they can.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Because they're worth money.
Yeah,
so the morality here has got lost in this.
Monetization of the whole biotechnological world order is terrible.
And that's what the play does. But the play has one point, and that is to fuck with you. The play, I truly believe.
So you're being contrarian.
Yeah, I do. I truly believe that art should shake.
Of course.
And leave you going.
Being controversial.
So it doesn't tell you what to think. It just says you have to think. Now, if you don't vote, it doesn't count as a yes vote. And we've had lawyers, so you have to vote yes or no. Yeah. We've had lawyers come and they go, oh, the lawyer refused to vote. Like it was legally binding.
Yeah, I know.
So we got your mum here, mate.
Yeah.
We're just about to stab her. Yes or no? Come on.
No, I mean, in the 90s, being controversial was considered cool. You know what I mean? Even when Vice magazine first began, being controversial was considered cool. I think Michael and I are of that. We're of a time where we enjoy being controversial. I've always enjoyed being controversial. I've enjoyed being provocative. I've enjoyed being a contrarian. I think this one has as well. So, that's what being an artist is all about, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, look at Marooned. The amount of shit I got for writing a play about suicide, and yet people love it. They absolutely fucking love it.
Woke is the enemy of, and all these PC people who attack you. That's the enemy of art. Anyone who, and I've known some people who've attacked, and you know where they are now? They're nowhere, mate. Because people don't like people in the arts who are poo-pooing other people's stuff because it's not of some certain ideology. You don't have to always agree with the ideology of every artist you see. Fine. You can have your own opinion. That's great. You've got your opinion. Other people have theirs. You state your opinion, and we argue it out. And may the best idea win within the cultural space.
Exactly.
May the best idea. You don't shut people down. You don't cancel people. You don't do any of that. That's bullshit. I'll even defend the biggest left-wing idiot who I probably don't like. I'll defend their freedom of speech. I'll defend the freedom of speech of Clem Ford. She's got a right to say whatever she likes. She's a complete idiot, but she's got the right to say it.
The other thing too is, thanks, Pauline. The other thing too is I like beauty, and I find great beauty in people
and the way they interact.
But I find great beauty in the nobility of people, in the tragedy of people. I always have, so I try to put that in the stuff. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up now, and we're going to finish Blue Velvet.
I'm showing Blue Velvet for the first time.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
40 years it's been
never seen it. Try to avoid it, but I've never seen it.
Frank Booth in the house.
We'll be back tomorrow with Lindsay, the psychologist from Ipswich, and he's going to be talking about betrayal. And so I'll set this up in a bit, but we have great conversations with him, so join us for that.
Good to see you, mate.
And now Richard hasn't seen this.
What?
But we're talking about beauty here. So I put this video together from women dancers, female dancers on the internet, including this one woman who's got Alzheimer's, who used to be a ballerina. She's played Swan Lake. She starts to dance again. But the actual song is from my musical, that was Magpie, and this is one of the songs from that. And this is AI doing the music and the vocals, and I've done the lyrics. And it's really interesting because I'm telling you, this is beautiful. And yet people go, it's AI, I can't like it. But how do you do this if your senses are going, that's beautiful?
There are some things.
And your thing is saying it's not. There's a real conflict.
There's some great AI stuff happening and there's some bad. So it's, again, like with all technology, good and bad. And get with the blue bee.
We are proud to be something. And if the blue bee makes us proud to be free-thinking
individuals, but in a community,
who want to be an active part of the community, that's where we are.
That's where we're at.
Okay, guys, this is called The Lonely Ballerina. I'm not a slave.
Neither am I.
And really?
No. Unless maybe I want to for one evening.
And look, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have met this guy.
That's right.
And we
both survived troubles this year, so we're still here fighting a good fight.
And to say too,
trouble.
Richard and I came up with the No Go Show. I still remember talking to him saying,
I was one of your first guests on Cafe Lockdown too, mate.
Yeah,
I was in the first or second week, wasn't I?
Yeah, but then we did the No Goat Show, and there's a Rumble channel you can find that has all the goat shows on it.
Yep.
And that was extraordinary.
It was
so
incredible.
much fun.
And we should get the band back together for a show, so get David on.
Just get Damien out of jail. And
I'll have to get the break him out, mate, maybe.
Okay, this is
start digging the tunnel.
The Lonely Ballerina. Good night.
Good night.
Things change, things do up ahead. The story you're writing isn't written yet. This evening is only a paint. In the morning, your writer will begin again.
The ink you breathe is never dry, and you won't predict your course, no matter